TGreenMan vlog. Check out my vlog. Check out my vlog. Please, check out my vlog. 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 What is going on, guys? Welcome to the World Mental Health Edition of TGreenMan's vlog. So today I got something special for you guys. Normally, we go into my life and I'll do a quick catch up. I've just been grinding, going away at this this crazy pandemic that we got going on and everything. So just got to take it day by day, and this is the perfect opportunity to really exercise those mental health constraints, medication, therapy, all types of things. Today's subject's kind of special. I actually was in my normal feed. I was on a timeline. I was doing a comment or something, and someone brought up complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's something that not a lot of people tend to know a lot about, and it sounds funky, so I figured today I would take an opportunity and give you guys a little bit of understanding of what complex post-traumatic stress disorder is, and kind of my own personal, because I'm not a doctor, but this information I have for you today all comes from doctors, and it's very serious that you don't follow my own personal guidance. You should definitely, if you do have these symptoms that I talk about today, or you struggle with this, you should definitely go talk to a doctor. Don't follow exactly what I do. Everybody has their own way that they do things. So I want you to do things that are going to be the most beneficial for you. So that's just what I was going with that. That's kind of like my disclaimer too, of I'm not a doctor, but I am somebody who struggles with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So let's get right into it. So basically, I got my little thing right here. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder, the difference between the two really is post-traumatic stress disorder comes from it happens from it could be over a couple years, or a lot of times military going into combat, or just a lot of different incidents usually can contribute to one of these forms of PTSD that I'm going to be talking about today, post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, we'll start off with the most basic form and kind of go through it step by step, and I'll just kind of explain to you, and then I'll go into what the last and final one, which is complex, which would be a fifth. There's actually 5 stages of post-traumatic stress disorder. There's 4 the main, regular ones, but there's one that's complex, which is kind of the difference between the two is that complex is kind of over your whole life. You kind of go through a whole bunch of different things that kind of stack up. It could be a whole bunch of different forms of post-traumatic stress disorder, but it's not just one terminology time in your life. It's kind of it starts at childhood and goes to you might have a few years on and off where you're not having crazy stuff going on. Kind of like myself. So basically the first one would be called normal stress disorder. This is your average kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. Basically, this would be you moved out of your house and you missed your house when you were a kid, or you moved somewhere and something happens and it takes you out of your comfort zone, and it's a little bit more stressful than others. Starting a new school where you lost all your other friends, things like that. As an adult, losing a job that you really cared about, things like that could kind of start off with what would be normal stress disorder, which would be the first form and the most basic. It's very mild, as they would call it. It's a mild form of post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's why it's called normal. So getting into the more serious kinds, this is one that most people are more familiar with, would be comorbid. Comorbid would be obviously morbid doesn't sound very nice, but comorbid would be for soldiers, people who run very this would be something more of where I have it, not in the soldier style, because I never served, but I've been to jail and I've had other things on the streets, things like that are very similar to being in war. So a lot of those things I have very similarities, and that's kind of where one of my first stages that overlaps other ones kind of touches at. This is probably one of the more milder ones, but I do, and this would go more into some of the stuff I've done, because one of the symptoms with comorbid that's really common is they feel like they don't deserve. I don't feel like I deserve stuff sometimes. I always self-destruct myself, and that's actually a common symptom with comorbid. You're very against yourself. You feel like you don't deserve things. Moving on more, and also like this happens from losing people in combat, being in hard stress war situations where you're kind of getting pushed around at quick things. So that's kind of where it kind of stems from. And if you were relating it to your own symptoms, and obviously a veteran would be someone who's going to have this form. And this one usually also overlaps with another disorder, usually depression, things like that. So it's something else. Next one, we have acute stress disorder. Now this one is more common for your average Joe. Sorry. That's kind of gross, sorry guys. But this one is more for your average Joe. Acute stress disorder, kind of basically this happens from when you lose someone that's really close to you that you love, or like losing your house, not like a job, but like your house that you paid for. Things that are pretty deep to you and ingrained, that it's like something that's kind of like you thought was going to be forever, for at least for a long time. That's why like your brother, your sister, I lost my brother a few years ago. I'm sure that is probably stacked on where my complex comes from. But yeah, it's kind of those kinds of things that happen really abruptly, that aren't planned. And this one obviously again these all obviously can be cured per se. PTSD is not permanent. With the right kind of therapy, you can alleviate it. The only problem with it, with like me for instance, is the commonalities of more occurrences happening. That's kind of what stunts it. But if you can minimize the occurrences in your life and you can take the proper therapy, all PTSD, including complex, can be cured. So that's kind of what acute is. It's more something that happens really abruptly, that isn't unplanned. So that can be usually what causes it. Now this one's kind of one that's more for children and women and people who are kind of less, but this would be called the next one would be called uncomplicated. Uncomplicated is basically, it's like something bad happens to you, we'll say. That's an easy way. It's more for like sexual abuse, things like that. Being hurt as a child, things that you didn't really have any control over that was taken from you. So you relive a lot of it when you have uncomplicated PTSD. So it's a rough one. All of them are pretty rough, obviously. But this one, again, usually you're going to need therapy and all that stuff. Again, all these last three are probably ones you're going to need therapy. The first one you might need a little bit of therapy for, but like I said, it's normal. But this one's not so normal. The last three are kind of rough. Uncomplicated is a rough one too. So I'm sure obviously I stumped with this one too from when I was childhood. And this one kind of leads into the next one, which is the fifth and final, which is the one we're going to go into today, more complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is what I struggle with. And what this is usually is the last four I told you overlap each other, little occurrences to big occurrences, and just kind of over time you don't really get a break. It's just like a constant battle. Now a lot of it obviously in my teenage years, if you've watched a lot, was stuff I did to myself, and that's kind of where the comorbid stuff happens. It's all on and off throughout my whole life, through the alcoholism, through losing my brother, through coming back, through almost dying to being abused as a child, tortured, being sat down in a chair, tied down when I cried. There's a lot of different things that happen to me that attribute to what causes complex, which is kind of like, complex is like a lifelong thing. It happens from birth to like pretty close to when you're starting to heal from it, which is me in the last few years. I've kind of gotten the opportunity. It doesn't help when you get pandemics and things like that. they kind of stand in the way and probably add another instant on top of it. But serious note, I think anybody has the capability to conquer their mental illness. I think it's something that's very serious in society. What I struggle with the most with my complex post-traumatic stress disorder is a lot of running thoughts. Sometimes something will happen, it'll trigger something that either has happened, it'll trigger one of the other forms, whether I relive something or whether I feel like I'm in an environment and paranoia strickens in. You know, a lot of things I see that aren't really happening, and I think they're happening, and I have to like wake up my mind. It's like living in a movie constantly. You always think like there's that crazy chase scene, or there's that thing's gonna happen, or when you're by yourself, you're reliving those moments that you went through. It's a mixture of like a bunch of different symptoms that kind of correlate with all forms of post-traumatic stress disorder. It actually is misdiagnosed for borderline personality disorder and a lot of dissociative disorders, but it's very serious. And you know, all of them are pretty serious. You know, all of them are very serious. Any mental health disorder is very serious. I personally think that every human being on this planet in some form has some form of you know, a mental disorder. And I think, you know, through identifying what we're dealing with in our own lives, I think that, you know, we could kind of help alleviate it and help encourage each other. So, you know, just one of my main things that I really give my passion for is mental health. That's one of the things I fight for with drug addiction. I think mental health correlates obviously with drug addiction and a lot of other things that people struggle with in society. And I think that if we could start tackling mental health head on and really put more emphasis in society towards identifying it and not looking at it like an animal, like an elephant in the room, you know, a lot of people don't even want to admit they have it, or even want to, you know, they start to think that they may have it and they try to force themselves out of it. Something I think that you have to identify and face. So, you know, I really hope that, you know, you guys have got your stuff in today and really focused on different aspects of your own life and realized that, you know, a lot of people struggle with it. The best way to get help is to ask for help. You know, reach out to people, let them know what you're dealing with. Let them know, you know, what you're thinking about. There's dark thoughts that come in our minds, you know, when you have mental health. And trust me, a lot of us have those same dark thoughts. So, you know, like, I really hope that you guys take this video seriously. You know, with this serious note, I'm going to give you guys a little rap at the end, you know, something a little cool, because it's been a while since I've been on. So, you know, sorry to come back with such a serious video, but, you know, we'll end it out with something a little, you know, not so serious. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Speaking on with that, if you have any suicidal thoughts or anything towards hurting yourself or someone else, please seek help. Please ask for help, because we're not all machines. We need help. You know, if we're fighting ourselves, sometimes we got to reach out and get people to encourage us to help fight. So with that, thank you guys so much. Please hit the subscribe, like, comment. Let's get my message out, man. My message is pure. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to make money, but to make money to have success, to help other people, show that they can be successful. I don't care if I became successful and didn't do anything, I'd probably hate myself for eternity. But if I became successful and lifted up 100 to 1,000 people and made them successful, that would tickle me. You know, I want to see people doing their dreams. I want to see people living for their passions. I love watching people succeed. That's my dream, to help people succeed. So with that, go for your dreams, ask for help, and thank you. Enjoy today, and this was our special mental health edition.
Save me from myself. Save me, TGreenMan. Save me from myself. I keep going and flowing, I'm trying to mow them down. so profound. On the bound, I'm going for my crown. Let the lyrics rise like spirits in your ears, you know you hear it. In the game, they're feeling pain so deep inside they fear it. They engineer it in our minds, we beat ourselves down. Getting struck, being comfortable in our own town. Gotta grow, melt the snow, we need the heat to nourish. Through the fire, we see the light for our souls to flourish. Just encourage and have faith for the people trying. Some get lost in the dark, stories of the dying. We're still crying, not replying to our own needs. All we see is shiny stars, pocket full of greed seeds. Water beads, hydrophobic, all we need is knowledge. Heartfelt from the people, not just from a college. Elevate the mind state to help the mind win. Don't get stuck in the truck on your way to sin.
Save me, save me from myself.